Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Dogboat333, and welcome back to our Turn 4 New Order Last Year's Europe as the United States of America. In our last video, we started working on our nuclear triad and strengthening that, as well as we're doing very well in our missions. With nuclear. Acquiring the nuclear triad, I guess. That's a better way to put it. And reducing the nuclear capabilities of other countries. That's a good way to put it. We're basically sabotaging them. We control the power right now. There are those who say that the value of a nuclear arsenal of a nation's deterrent starts and ends with its mere existence by simply retaining the ability to vaporize the world 100 times over with the press of a button. President Glenn disagrees. The atom is not a god, terrible or vengeful. It is a tool, and a tool has many uses. If we would only employ it and as such in our negotiations with Germany and Japan. President Glenn strode along the broad spiral staircase that surrounded the new missile silo's main chamber. The catwalk was purely for inspecting the missile. Should anyone be in here when the missile rocket launched, may God help the mortal soul. Regardless, barring the start of total nuclear war, no missiles would be launched today. Glenn stood, admiring the massive cylindrical creation of aluminum and steel with a heart of plutonium. It was awe-inspiring. The power of a god sitting right before him, with a judicious ability to wipe the face of Earth clean. However, unless pushed to the edge, America would never fire first. It had these purely for defense, of course. Insurance, in case the worst came to pass. He then turned to the director of his facility, a man named William Bowman. What's the range of his missile? The Minuteman III claims a range about 13,000 kilometers, he said. It's roughly 8,000 miles, farther than any other missile currently in service on the planet. Incredible. And they don't even know we have it. Krauts and Nips would be shaking in their boots if they knew all the stuff we got up to. America needs a strong nuclear defense, and I'm glad my administration was able to provide for it. Speak softly, and carry a big stick. Oh, I think we read this already. Yeah. We're still ready for anything, though. We control the power. We got 20 days left. Afterwards, I imagine we'll go ahead and improve landing controls, and then we'll do the focus to prepare for the Aries missions. Because that's as far as we need to get, guys. We don't have much longer. Honestly, if this shit goes poorly, we might need to bail. Okay, we can invest into the Diana program, which is beautiful. Just great. We're 85% prepared right off the bat. And I think it's going to get better from here. Oh, right. We control the power. Auto-save. Launch Diana 3. Mission rewards. Forward onto heaven. Let's go ahead and upgrade the infrastructure. We've accomplished more for spaceflight than most nations ever will, but we cannot lose our momentum now. It's time to fly even higher, and to do that, we need to improve the infrastructure that supports NASA. Larger runways will support specialized aircraft that can safely transport critical rocket parts, and improved research facilities will allow us to test larger rocket engines, fabricate parts with even more precision, and overcome the engineering challenges that have shackled us to Earth for so long. Ooh. Mr. President, I received a letter from Joint Chiefs Staff and, well, see for yourself. Secretary of Defense Cyrus Vance said, handing the letters several pages long to John Glenn. Glenn took the letter and began to read, frowning as he did so. So they're angry that we're focusing on nukes. But that's what they wanted. But they're throwing a tantrum at the Pentagon because we aren't spending as much on everything else. Tanks, planes, aircraft carriers, basically the non-nuclear stuff. Secretary Vance sighed. You can just never make the children with stars on their shoulders happy, it seems. Give them nukes, they want tanks. Give them tanks, they want helicopters. And on it goes. Yeah, they have all their ideas on what will win the next war and what won't. And that's the difference from the next guy. And that's different from the next guy, Clint said, setting lower down and rubbing his forehead. So they want a bit of everything. Vance nodded. But we can't do that. Congress would throw conniption if we ask for more money. Unless we take it from the NNC, but that'll slow down the construction of more reactors. Glenn turned his big chair around to look at the window towards the rose garden. Contemplating his options, asked Congress for more funds from the military, which they won't like. Divert funding from the NNC, which would slow down the construction and development of new reactors or atomic projects, or tell the Joint Chiefs off, making them even grumpier than they were. It stays like this, when Glenn wishes he was still an astronaut. I'll save right here, because I'm not sure what we should do. Chief of Staff, or Chiefs of Staff choice. We could try a bill. Let's see. 32... 1632, 37. Let's talk to the Republicans. Oh, fuck. Okay, let's go back. Let's do something else. Let's try telling the chief... Maybe we should just tell the Chiefs of Staff off. I mean, it's not like they're fucking defending the country or anything. May listen to me. Who fucking cares? The military has more than enough money anyway. Right? All around the world, millions of television sets and radios of all make and model are turned to the same broadcast. Each screen has shown NASA's control center just minutes after Armistice has confirmed touchdown. There is some small chatter between Aldrin, Michael, and Mission Control as they go through systems checks. The whole world watches with bated breath for the long-awaited American response to the German moon landing. Finally, after what feels like a lifetime of waiting, they see it. Live footage from over 200,000 miles away starts broadcasting, filmed from the base of the Armistice. The lunar surface stands outstretched behind the lander, a gray blemished landscape leading into the horizon. A lone figure emerges and descends from module. Michael Collins, first American on the moon, steps onto the fine gravel and makes his proclamation. With this first step, America has finally ensured our place among the stars. News of Diana III's success has left the public ecstatic. Even Glenn's harshest critics within the Senate remain silent in the face of America's victory. After some earned celebrations, President Glenn prepares to address the nation in a televised speech from the front of the White House lawn. Today, I address not only our own citizens, but the world. After years of effort, we have finally brought Americans to the moon. This represents years of hard work from our talented teams at NASA, none of which this could have been possible without our engineers, astrophysicists, and countless other visionaries. No longer will we be bound by the failures of our own Apollo program. As we are now tied with this great race. Finally, I want to reiterate to everyone listening, this marks not just the end in our long journey of stars. No, this is only the beginning. Gain national spirit, the stars are ours, which grants us more political power, stability, war support. American society grows a little more unified. We did it. War in the Pentagon spreads quickly, and the world's largest office building with over 200,000 people. 20,000. Oh, fuck. Okay. Alright. War in the Pentagon spreads quickly. The world's largest office building with over 20,000 people working in it. Rumors and gossip always spread fast, but the news that there would be no additional funding to the DoD due to the National Nuclear Commission's program has spread like wildfire. Admirals and generals alike were apoplectic at the thought of their pet projects that will, for sure, early guarantee victory in whatever future battles America will face, was still not getting the funding they needed. Instead, it was more nukes, missiles to launch nukes, bombers to drop nukes, and submarines to sneak around with nukes. Because the problem with nukes is that it's a wrecking ball. Sometimes all you need is a fly swatter. There's talk about some that the President Glenn, a war hero, pilot, and brave astronaut, has forgotten where he came from, and his time in the White House meant that he lost sight of whatever was truly important in safeguarding America. However, everyone in the building, from office workers that deal with draft paperwork to the heads of Joint Chiefs of Staff, know that they can't reveal their displeasure in not getting more money. Congress would roast from live at committee meetings for wanting this money, and the public would not be too keen on having to foot the bill on yet just more experimental progress. So when tempers are high, there will only be a minor ripple that escapes the Pentagon. But that doesn't mean soldiers, sailors, and airmen are happy. Even the Secretary of Defense and the President himself know that morale is growing weaker as appreciation for the military seems to be lagging. Sure, the current budget is all well and good, and their equipment that soldiers have is still top of the line and better than anything else in the world. But it can always be better. I guess our double-barreled hover tank will be delayed again. How about as support? I mean, that's not preferable, but 90 research points, 18 public support. I mean, I'll take that. Won't you guys take that? Let's do some improved landing controls. I'm curious what the heightened suspicions thing is going to be. What's Himmler up to? Unknown. They're still doing something, apparently. But what? I don't know. Can upgrade the infrastructure. Project Aries. The Aries project, manned missions that will finally allow us to claw back the new frontier and assert dominance once and for all will be unlocked. The time has come. The crowning achievement of the American space program and the pinnacle of human technological advancement, Project Aries, is ready for launch. Our crew travels with the prayers of every American and the eyes of the entire world upon them. We have proven that we could equal the height of the German space program. Now that the American Eagle must soar to far greater heights. Our technicians, engineers, and launch personnel have been preparing for this mission for their entire careers. The Red Planet lies within our grasp, and we cannot let it slip through our fingers. The flag of our nation, standing tall on Mars, millions of miles from our home, shall reaffirm our status of the greatest country in the world. Godspeed, gentlemen. Start the countdown. So what is going to happen with this? Heightened suspicion. Apparently unable to clear our tracks. Does that do anything? Hello? Well, when the first nuclear bomb exploded in Hawaii, this world stood in shock. For the first time in history, man had the capability to destroy itself. At the turn of a key and the touch of a button, the culmination of thousands of years of human achievement, art, architecture, science, politics, men, could be destroyed in less than an hour. It was a power once thought unimaginable, relegated to gods. Now a petty man atop a petty government holds its power. In fact, it's grown from something catastrophic, but not apocalyptic, to something one step closer to world ending. A terrifying accomplishment. None shall threaten us again. Do you want to raise a spending cap? Yeah, we'll do that. It's about a 15 hit. But hey, hopefully we'll be good enough. Project Aries. Oh, we're gonna need a lot more money. Oh shit. We literally don't. Not we actually need a lot more shit. We can do joint testing programs. Okay, let's go back real quick, see if we can't get another option. That'll give us a bit more. That won't give us a hit in public support. We'll trim the nuclear program, I guess. That's actually probably fine. We probably should have done that first things first. I mean, how bloated is our... We'll be fine, Jesus. This is only the beginning, folks. We will be fine. Okay, there have been rumors that the military was less than pleased with all the extra money that was being spent on nuclear weapons. These systems deliver them through the National Nuclear Commission. All the extra funding going towards reactors and research was feared to be dulling the edge of America's conventional weapons, the tanks, planes, and ships that would be needed to fight smaller-scale wars. That means the news that came out today in a short news release should please the generals and admirals concerned, since most of the money that had been earmarked to the construction of reactors or the funding of nuclear research that had few benefits at the current time had instead been diverted to several promising conventional weapon systems to keep our military strong. The NNC is still ongoing and will be going for a while to come. Some money that was to go to planning and designation of reactors and programs that not yet started construction will instead be held back and moved to defense procurement projects. Those reactors and facilities under construction will continue their progress, but newer ones will be slowed down in the future. The mood in the Pentagon is much calmer and more relaxed since the news came out, as it's clear that the President was not going to turn his back on the men and women that are defending America in a tumultuous world. The knowledge of a Commander-in-Chief is supporting them has improved morale amongst all ranks, from privates to generals, and that he will prioritize the defense of America over everything else. America is strong, will remain strong, and be forever strong. Mission rewards, great. Raise a spending cap. Joint test programs. And we'll get back to Project Aries. Maybe cut other programs. Upgrade infrastructure. There we go, Project Aries. The Yola crisis is not going anywhere. For whatever reason. Hey, America's daring to dream. God damn it. That's all that matters right now, quite frankly. Do, 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 do. We're going way longer. I don't think there's any content for any of the other guys anymore. Takagi has hung in there, though. The anti-mainstream conservatives not doing that hot party-wise. Project Aries. Okay, let's do Land Down Under. Australia, Liberty's last ocean in the Western Pacific, has lived under the constant threat of Japanese invasion for over 20 years. It's time that the extension of the OFN nuclear umbrella be made that much more tangible for our Aussie allies, to provide them with the air bases and tactical missiles that will tip scales in their favor against the numerically superior Japanese adversaries. There we go, mates. Right on. Okay, let's see how bad the okay, shit. 75 million, that's not gonna be enough. 125 million. That can get us started. We can siphon military funds. We'll try that. Invest into the Aries program. We'll improve landing controls. Civilian construction 5. Oh my god, our debt. What do we have? A liberal, so we'll replace it with a liberal. None shall threaten us again. There we go. See, it probably should have just cut it. Anyway. Get rid of those decisions. There's not much we can do other than the Levantine Kingdom. It's nice to see that they're doing okay. For Land Down Under. Let's do the nuclear submarine skunk works. The Pacific Ocean is vast and almost deep in areas. Almost impossibly deep in areas. Perfect for cover for a new fleet of ballistic missile submarines, waiting for a signal to deliver the atomic retribution against the Japanese army. But the Japanese, with a presence from Hawaii to former East Indies, will doubtlessly be vigilant against any intrusion on our silent service. The underseas army races on. Our submarines must be engineered for victory. Fuck. Over the past several weeks, it's come to light the U.S. government has been placing nuclear weapons in Australia, notably in the Northern Territory and Western Australia. Contrary to what much of the American population anticipated, the Australians seem to be a highly supportive reaction, with the Australian Prime Minister claiming it makes both North America and Australia a safer place to be. A large minority of the Australian population, however, have taken the streets in protest, believing that by having American nuclear weapons on their soil, they are simply making their homeland a target. Back in the States, however, reaction has been decidedly less cordial. Several major cities across the nation, thousands of protesters are calling for the removal of nuclear weapons from Australia. A rising star of the anti-nuclear movement, Randall Forsberg, has this to say: "I don't believe that putting nuclear weapons in the country is helping to keep anyone safe. Not the Australians, not the government, and not us. All it achieves is pushing us one step closer to another Hawaiian missile crisis." Secretary of Defense Clark Clifford and Atomic Energy Commissioner Glenn Seaborg have dismissed such claims without further elaboration. As of yet, the president has not made himself available for comment on the situation. With all this trouble, one has to ask a question: how does this make the average American safer? Damn hippies. We gotta hope our public support doesn't go too bad. Pentagon announces billions in uranium contracts. Deficit revised further. Wall Street Journal blared on the front page. President Glenn has seen the faces of RD's senators on the Financial Committee grow pallid on TV as the NPP torched the administration's lack of fiscal restraint, citing the proverbial man in the streets. Glenn's rocket ship ain't doing jack shit. It's not rocket ships. They're nuclear rocket ships. Jacob Javits coughed as he raised his hand. They've got a point, Mr. President. We've revised the budget estimates 3 times over the last fiscal year. There's not enough red in Washington. Glenn pinched his nose. Stop. We've gone over this, and we're not cutting the nuclear program. I'm trying to win the Cold War, for God's sake. We're not doing that if we fall behind on the atomic curve. A vein twitched in Javits' face. Leading Vice President Gordon interceded. Honestly, John, do you really want to explain another budget correction to the Senate? The NPP's going to have a field day. President Glenn drummed his fingers on the table, running the numbers. Research costs were open-ended. Weapons costs could come down, but only over time. That left will lean on the uranium mines. If this hit is really bad, we're going to have to be. It's not. We'll go for liberal option. Oh god, how bad is it? 21.5%. Cross our fingers and pray that whatever's left in our budget is good enough. President Glenn, I hope it is with your nature to receive this message, as the beginnings have already begun to bear fruit. New exciting victory for America. That's not the price we discussed a week ago, you ass, Glenn Warden had said. Tell me why the asking price for pound plutonium has doubled overnight. Mr. President, we're not trying to be unreasonable. But this is business, and I'll tell you immediately right now, these price cuts you've requested can't be done immediately. None of that explains the price hikes. Get to the point. Well, if you want us to work towards getting these costs down, then we're going to need larger mines and more modern refining techniques. And with the budget deficits you've been printing, we figured you wouldn't be up for a federal joint venture. So instead of asking how we can figure this out, you're extorting the government. Real generous of you. You need us, Mr. President. You're swimming in red, and we represent all the producers of uranium in North America. You can't win. Don't bluff on losing hand. Hold on, you work for me now. Early warning stations. Reykjavik. To fully make nuclear forces centerpiece in American strategy requires that we protect ourselves against any German or nuclear attempt to disarm or disrupt our nuclear arsenal. Early warning and, where possible, surgical strikes must be the centerpiece of any such effort. In Iceland, the closest open territory to continental Europe, except for England, is ideally located. A host of facilities needed to achieve this objective. We'll drop plans to base new over-horizon radars and hardened air bases in Iceland. The tip of a spear against the impact of a German menace. I've determined, considering the overriding national security interests of the nuclear program, that the actions of certain private uranium producers fall well outside the public interest. Therefore, under the authority of the Defense Production Act, the federal government will place certain uranium production and refining interests under public management with immediate effect. The announcement, despite its anodyne phrasing, reverberated through Washington and New York like a gunshot. But Dow Jones fell sharply as word spread that the Glenn administration would soon be issuing administrative guidance to seize ownership of uranium mines throughout the country. During a time of peace, no less. By mid-afternoon, the halls of Congress were in uproar as business lobbyists stormed receptive congressmen's offices, demanding an explanation for Glenn's socialistic madness. The reaction varied among the mining companies that, soon enough, received notification from the government informing them of their new management. A few broke the ranks that day, seeking accommodation with the Glenn government that would at least keep their management in place. By evening, however, the majority of the companies affected had gathered their legal counsel for a press conference in New York, denouncing the administration's actions and vowing not to go down and fight. They won't go quietly. It's a good thing the NPP is pretty much dead and has nothing working for them. Democrat, Republican congressmen and senators had no single position on the Glenn announcement that the federal government would be seizing uranium mines nationwide as the administration struggles to finance its burgeoning nuclear program. What voices could be here in the Capitol? Those are already senators puzzled or openly critical of administration decisions. I was surprised as any of you when I heard the president was going to be seizing private property in this country. If you want something, you pay for it. It's just not American. The president's been always kind of a dreamer. Sometimes it leads to him reaching for the stars, and sometimes it leads to him falling flat on his ass when he realizes he's kicked his own lad out from under him. What I don't get is, where does President Glenn think he goes from here? He's going to have to defend his move in the courts, and even if he wins over the Supreme Court, how is American industry ever going to trust him again? It's sad, really. For the RD Party, his leadership has remained quiet on the president's unprecedented intervention in American business out of national security interests. The voices within the party should make it clear to the president that he does so with an increasingly uneasy party at his back. Well, you know what I say? We're ready for anything. Okay, the Aries. We're 90% prepared. I think we're gonna need... That's all we need. That's all I needed right now. That and some money. Because fuck, we're gonna need a lot more money. We strongly protest the administration's unprecedented actions in the matter of private enterprise and make it clear that plaintiffs believes that the actions of government represent a gross overreach of its constitutional powers must be addressed immediately by the courts. The League Council of Mining Companies declared open war between them and the Glenn administration before an eager press gallery, all salivating for the open season coming to Washington. Let them take their best shot, Glenn muttered, turning away from the television in the Oval Office toward his assembled cabinet. The face and room were impassive. They'd made their peace with the possibility of a oozing legal fight the moment Glenn had decided he would seize the uranium mines. Vice President Gore glanced around the room before responding. It's all or nothing, John. They got the legal firepower to put up one hell of a fight, and they're already taking their interest with the Supreme Court. We might go to oral arguments in a matter of days. Glenn nodded. There's no way back now. They'd have to burn the midnight oil with the lawyers to match the resources of the companies. And now that the Supreme Court was involved, the eyes of the nation would be upon them all. No pressure. Let's hope the Supreme Court is favorably inclined towards us. They should be. I mean, 4 conservatives, 5 liberals. First it was South Africa, and now it's Glenn's rockets. We simply cannot afford any more wasteful spending. And what do you think we should be spending this money on? fixing the fucking roads. You should see what I have to drive over on the way to work. Thank you. That was Michael from Colorado. If you would like to share your thoughts on NASA's budgetary spending, please don't hesitate to call the CBS hotline. We now have Jan from Seattle. How are you, Jan? And I'm alright, thank you. Now, Jan, how do you feel about the current spending down at NASA? I mean, I understand that this going to space thing is a point of national pride, but I think we need to move on. I just don't think we're getting anything out of this. Thanks for your feelings, Jan. We're going to be taking a small break now, but we'll have more on tonight. Mr. President. God fucking damn it, why are they asking the budget? Get me public relations. How is this even going to work? Okay, 20 public support. And we have no fucking money. We literally have no money. We can't do anything. Oh my god. The break room's television carried the leading story of the day as Jerome Bushwell, junior stockbroker, noticed his mug of coffee. Both the government and uranium companies are preparing for a case that will decide what limits exist on the federal government's power over industry in the interests of national security. Didn't know cared for mining politics, Bushwell. Bushwell knew he jumped his boss, veteran trader Abraham Ablesworth, slid into Bakeroom. Yeah, was thinking of covering the metal sectors eventually, you know. I honestly don't know what the government's thinking going after companies like this. Yeah, that's a question I've been getting from clients all day. Hard to disagree with them when it could be their ass on the chopping block tomorrow. The president thinks he can do an end run around Congress and the Constitution to strip private property for no good reason. He's got nothing coming. I thought we had a revolution over shit like this. Yeah, well, don't get your hopes up for a rerun. I don't think anyone's too happy about the precedent of public seizures for the sake of the president's vanity projects. Pride comes before fall. Next, we'll do nuclear Iceland. Hawaii's crisis proved one thing. Above all else, the immediate presence of nuclear threat has the potential to bring any power to the negotiating table. If a nation perceives that there is a new threat in their backyard, they will seek to address it, and preferably without triggering its doomsday. Unfortunately, the U.S. has just a place for such a threat to be established, Iceland. Along the archipelago of bases that make up the U.S. forces Iceland, we already have a bunch of bombers. But by constructing new missile silos, a signal will be sent. Planes and crews may come and go, but the silos are permanent. It would remind Germania that we have a capacity to strike fast and strike hard. Such a gamble would surely bring them to the table in Heart of Madness. And if they try anything, well, we'll be closer to them than ever. We're so close. The courtrooms of the Supreme Court of the United States was quiet as the justices walked in, save for a slight rustling as both sides took a final look at their papers. With no press cameras allowed, the justices took their seats in dignified serenity. But Justice's motion for the Solicitor General to speak representing the administration, justices from requisitioning produce during the Revolutionary War to control over vital industries last World War, we must insist the government has the customary power to intervene in private enterprise in the express service of national security and the dangers of a Cold War. After a broad summary of historical precedent, the Solicitor General returned to his seat. The justice conferred briefly before motioning the plaintiff to make his opening statement. The plaintiff's representative coughed gently. The government states that it has the power to seize private property for national security, but surely you recognize what slippery slope this represents. Does the government intend to argue that the present moment, with no mass mobilization of men in arms, constitutes such a grave danger to the nation, similar to that of the last war? Precedent cannot be enough to justify such a grave and drastic action. In the absence of precedent, must also highlight the absence of any authorizing statute. We'll see where this goes. We have no money. Absolutely no money. Man. Nothing's happening in Siberia right now. Your military is kind of winning, but how are they doing? They got manpower. The Supreme Court's judgment was in, and now the hard work would begin. Dozens of federal administrators were hastily assembled in repurposed offices in Washington, preparing to be dispatched to the latest headquarters and branch offices of a defeating mining companies across the United States. The federal government would have its way, with the authority to organize and manage production of uranium across the United States, expansion of national security powers not seen since the end of the Second World War. The business press naturally had cried foul. Wall Street Journal's editorial page carried a feverish warning from their board. Expansion of presidential authority, the latest surrender of American freedoms. Second best line they've ever come up with after Glenn wins presidency, Glenn remarked. Still can't believe we pulled it off. Javits was all smiles, a rarity given his precarious portfolio only months ago. Now the mining companies will have to fall in line. They might try to stonewall us, but with the force of law on our side. Glenn laughed easily as he handed Javits the latest polling results from Gallup, a solid 5-point increase. Not with these figures, they won't. If they think breaking the law is going to help them, they can do their worst. Get with the times or get left behind. A great victory for our administration. Costs for maintaining and expanding our nuclear arsenal have gone down substantially, and our public support will increase substantially. God, our debt is still fucking insane, but hey, I can think of worse right now. That's an... okay, I think we might have to... hold on. Next, it's time to speak softly. The Germans and Japanese must be made to understand that America does not hide behind the moat of the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. American submarines hide in the vast oceans, bringing nuclear annihilation to the very doorstep of our enemies. And should the Japanese or Germans sweep the seas clean, they will find American bombers and missiles waiting to strike beyond the range of their precious navies. If they want to reverse the tables and strike first, we will know and beat them to the punch. America can and will win a nuclear war. The sooner Japan and Germany realize that, they will realize the folly of continuing the arms race and come to the table to seek a new accommodation. This is so insane, it might actually work. I'll save here. In case it all doesn't work, and I'm thinking... I got no checks. I mean, we're going into debt already. We might as well go into debt with NASA. That's what I'm thinking, at least. It's time to speak softly. Like I said, this is so crazy, it might work. Or we might blow up horribly and die. That is a real possibility that people gotta remember. I think Glenn is... They said he's the second most likely president to cause World War II. Not World War II, World War III. I don't know who, I don't know who number one is. I don't know who number one is. Probably Yaki. No. I forget if they said ones who have content or not. Jackie technically has content now, but not much. Let's fortify the OFN. Even in negotiations with superpowers, America is made stronger by the presence and support of its allies in the OFN. They are partners, not the feudal liege lords of German, or the colonial kleptocracies of the Japanese. And even if they do not have a seat at the table, they deserve to be consulted and kept informed of where we seek to lead the OFN to the ultimate goal of a nuclear diplomacy. If not peace in our times, then at least peace through strength. There we go. How's jolly old England doing? Oh, they finished their shit. They've unveiled the HMS Jericho. Beautiful. They said they would return, and we did. Man, it would have been nice to do a full England game if, well, you know. Anyone who watched the England series knows what happened there. And honestly, we might be coming to the beginning of the end, ladies and gentlemen. At least the beginning of the end of this video. Let's fill our vacancy. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut it here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you as always for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you want to see more of this content in the future, go ahead and hit the sub button for more uploads every weekday, as well as every Saturday. If you have any comments, feedback, concerns, anything of the sort, leave them in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get, and I appreciate any all feedback you might have for me. If you want to see me bucks my way, I have a Patreon down link below. If you want to chat, play games, I have a Discord. If you want to see more of this content in the future, see me record some of the stuff live in the future, I have a Twitch. All of that down link below. Thank you as always for watching, ladies and gentlemen. My name has been DB333, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.